YouTube, welcome to the top 8 grand finale and top deck list of the Meta Weekly. This is of the new pack release day, and we have a crazy one for you. This is Ryzeal Pure against Pure Maliss. These top 2 Titans are going at it for the #1 spot of who's going to be the best deck. Is there a definitive best deck? Let's find out. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Watch as long as you can. They greatly supports the event. Let's get to it. Let's do it. We're going to start off with a maxi within the standby phase, as we're going to Maliss and Underground banish from the deck our Chessie Cat. Come forward Chessie as we attempt to now draw 2. Imperm, negate. Not today, mate. Now the triple tactics talent is dead. We need a monster effect within the main phase in order to look at their hand or draw 2. So what do? We end our turn completely. Well, you maxied me, I maxi you. You did not draw into an out for the maxi, so this is a fair duel. Back-to-back maxi, as we're going to Ice Ryzeal on summon from the deck into a Sword Ryzeal, search our deck for an X Ryzeal. To battle we go. We're not going to be too crazily further committing under the effect of maxi. Maybe at least perform an Exceed summon in main phase 2 into the Ryzeal Detonator. Ryzeal Detonator on summon can attach the maxi to give us a total of 3 pops. What are our disruptions? Well, the Druid Swarm is now going to be banishing away the Chessie Cat. By summoning the Detonator in defense, it ensures the Druid Swarm now cannot swing in to send the Detonator to the grave, because Detonator can protect from destruction, but not from the effect to send it to the graveyard, as we now also are going to be... Oh boy, Druid Swarm is going to activate right now. Druid Swarm in the end phase of Detonator is going to send the Detonator to the graveyard, and we have no way to stop it. Uh-oh. You know, it's almost inevitable that the Druid Swarm is going to activate because they could just link summon with it, then it would send the Detonator to the graveyard. We at least get to also use the Detonator to pop the Chessie Cat. And I did mention this in my Ryzeal guide that Druid Swarm, in a way, is a counter card to Ryzeal, as you just saw there. Crazy. We do have double Book of Eclipse to non-target flip the entire field face down. We use at least 1. We now have the follow-up of the Maliss and Underground. March Hare, add back to the hand here, which will be giving us 2 bodies in the field that we can again flip the entire field face down with. Now, flipping down is great. They're going to draw 3 cards during the end phase, mate. Let's go. Draw 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. We're going to call to the grave within the end phase to banish and negate Detonator. A newly summoned Detonator is now negated. That is insanity. We have Imperm plus Maliss and Mirror for a double disruption. X Ryzeal chain link blocked by the aggregator to negate a face-up card, but you can't chain link block the impermanence. We are still going to be negating. Negate the effect to search. We could still special summon a Sword Ryzeal, which is normally what the X Ryzeal searches for. On the summon, we're going to be searching for an Ice Ryzeal for our normal summon play. On normal summon, Maliss and the Mirror negate the effect to summon from the deck. We cannot activate Triple Tactics talent until you trigger the effect of the March Hare. March Hare, add back to the hand here. Now, do note that Triple Tactics talent is considered to be so good that it's limited to 1 in the TCG. We're going to be, in response to the Triple Tactics talent, to look at their hand. We're going to summon the March Hare, as we're going to rip away their own Triple Tactics talent. That has to prove how good that card is, as we now Dormouse Reborn itself back onto the field. Into a Duo Drive we go. Why was it Imperm set? Well, we drew it during the end phase, unfortunately, as the Duo Drive attaches on summon to detach 2 to search our deck for a Star Ryzeal, plus a node. We are in main phase 1. Do we have the ability to 1-turn kill? Well, at 4,500 life points, we very possibly do. We're going to Ryzeal Cross, return 2 Ryzeal cards engraved to the bottom of the deck to draw 1. As we special summon our node Ryzeal, get rid of our extra copy of Triple Tactics to reborn from engrave. Unfortunately, it looks like we definitely do not have lethal damage here. I guess we would use the Igniser to pop 1. You know, it's... What the... 4 material Ryzeal detonate? That's crazy, mate. So we have the ability to pop 4 cards, or pop 3, negate 1. Imperm turns everything off, but they still have the ability to negate a monster effect. Whoa, we had no play? What do we had? What was in our hand? We had March Hare. Couldn't we banish from the graveyard? Oh, we had Field Spell blocking the Imperm, so we couldn't even Imperm negate. Oh my Jesus. That really messed us up. The field spell being on the field, thus the imperm couldn't negate, and they had 4 pops and or a monster negate plus 3 pops. Pure Ryzeal clapping it up. Let's hop into game number 2. Mind you, there is no side deck in today's event, as there's no side deck in the existence of Master Duel. So this is exactly how you should expect these duels to be played out on the ladder. Let's see what happens in game 2. Well, this is what happens when you play Triple Tactics Talent. They get to potentially make a fully uninterrupted turn 1 play, but you do have the benefit of a board breaker for when you go second. Do we have a way to trigger our Druiswarm Send Field effect on our own volition? We do not, but the Druiswarm banishing from the graveyard can possibly stop an effect like Node Ryzeal trying to reborn if they target a light or dark. So ideally, you're going to try to target a fire monster, whether you have the choice to or not. We have the Apollo, which is a double monster negate plus the Firewall, which could return multiple monsters from either field or graveyard back to the hand. We then have the Cryptor to non-target banish. We have MTP to non-target banish. We have the Mirror to negate a monster. We have Imperm to negate a monster. We have Ash negate interaction on the deck. We have the Druiswarm banish in the graveyard, which I'm not double counting. This is the first time I'm talking about the Druiswarm as part of the forms of disruption. And then we have Nibiru to tribute off the entire field here. Do we want to make this 11 with White Binder's effective banish in their graveyard maybe being a form of disruption? I'm not going to inflate it. We're at 10. Are you ready? Even though I'm counting Druiswarm, I'm not counting the Binder because Binder's a lot more difficult to actually be used as a form of disruption. So 10 disruptions. Good luck. Sword Ryzeal is our normal summon. What the cope? We're going to Apollo, negate. All right, special summon the other sword. Exciton Knight. We do have Imperm for this, which will ensure, or we could just use Apollo. The thing about using Apollo is we can now Exciton Knight again on the resolution, but not on the same chain. Understanding that, we're going to also Cryptor banish away the Exciton Knight before it could activate again, or otherwise we could have just Impermed and then it would just have been fully negated from there. We can now follow up, use the Triple Tactics talent to take control or draw 2. So 10 negates. We're going to now be also non-target banishing, and also we're going to negate. So we're at about 7 forms of disruption left. Triple Tactics Talent. Take control of a monster. We're going to chain the Firewall Dragon, add back the Magnum Hunt Engrave to our hand. So we're at 6 disruption. Yoink. The Cryptor GWC at the start of the battle phase is going to be reborning back the White Binder. White Binder on summon is going to be banishing away double sword Ryzeal plus our own red ransom to reborn itself back onto the field, to also banish from the deck a white rabbit, to then summon, to then set an MTP, to then non-target banish a card on the field. And by banishing the non-target card, that card is our own card, which would then trigger to come back onto our own side of the field. So thank you very much. Or we just allow it to swing in. We don't care. We're going to save the MTP for something else. Yeah, well, 10 disruptions, a lot to play through, and Hawkeye just didn't have the right hand to play through it. But that's okay, we now get to go first. Oh boy. 7th Tachyon. We did not YOLO the Ash. Return back the Impermanence. Special the X Ryzeal. Do we Ash negate this? We do! Negate the X Ryzeal, mate, despite there being 3 swords, 3 ice to very easily follow up from. Oh my, we now have negate an inherent special summon, which we know from Voiceless is incredible against Maliss. You wait for a link 3, you then negate it, and it's improperly summoned. We can non-target flip the entire field face down. We could also Ash negate an interaction with the deck. Zeus, what the heck is that? This is a trash hand. Do better. Set 3 pass. Okay. Maybe that Imperm onto the Psalm Strike will possibly be a winning play later in this duel. X Ryzeal's at 500 attack. Are we going to YOLO? Yes, we are. Draw 2 with that YOLO play. Well, you denied me from drawing 2, so in response, I'm going to draw 2 with my Triple Tactics talent instead. Thank you very much. Come to me, 2 cards off the top of my deck. TTT is putting in work today. What do y'all think? It's looking really good. We're going to banish the Dormouse to summon itself on the field. Now, this is not a trigger effect. we can use Eclipse to flip it down. And is Imperm safe to use because they could chain the GWC if there's another card to Reborn? There's nothing. So we can't chain the GWC to dodge it. It's already been face down for a turn, by the way, so that also would not work. But this also means if we Imperm this, we could link it off, then Reborn it back to then further link off from there. So maybe just Book of Eclipse it. Let's see what we do. We are, in fact, going to just very simply Eclipse it. Flip back up in the end phase, drawing another copy of the Triple Tactics Talent, Maxi in the draw phase. 7 Tachyon's no good. It adds the card, then puts it back on top of the deck, so maybe if you want to draw onto the card or just wait until very next turn, GWC, Reborn back onto the field, the Dormouse. But now, we are going to Dormouse activate into the Imperm Negate. Now, this being a spell speed 3 means we are not going to be able to chain Imperm to the activation of the Solemn Strike. If we're crazy, we could preempt it. Just Imperm before it would be activatable. We did not do that, so the Summon of Lizardos is now negated. That would have been insane. I think we would have just won the entire duel if we Impermed early. We now can activate the 7 Tachyon. We are under the effect of Maxi. We're going to add an X Ryzeal, return back the Book of Eclipse, normal summon the X Ryzeal because of the effect of Maxi. In response, we're going to MTP, search our deck for our Marchair, which could banish the White Rabbit or Dormouse from our graveyard. We're going to grab a Sword Ryzeal, exceeds this up into a Ryzeal. Detonator is here on summon, attach a monster from engrave. We have triple pop. Swinging for a whopping 3K to the chin. We have Imperm to just fully turn off the detonator. And I'm just gonna do it. You are completely turned off. Your 3 pops could pop at least my Impulse. Sure, that's fine. But then beyond that, your 2 other pops are nothing. You cannot protect yourself from being destroyed. We're gonna Triple Tactics Talent. I'm actually gonna take control. You're at 6,500 life points. I think I could end this duel. Magnum Hunt banishing away the White Rabbit engrave to Reborn itself back onto the field. 6,700 damage, and just like that, Maliss is the deck to possibly play instead of Ryzeal, right? Well, we possibly have some more Ryzeal Maliss matchups later in the event. Let's see what happens from there. 2-1 victory. Good job to Zeus. Hawkeye's also playing an interesting version of the deck. While it is a pure Ryzeal deck, I don't expect everyone to be main deck and Solemn Strikers and Book of Eclipses. Normal the Dormouse. We do have an Ash, which does nothing against Maliss because they did not ban Apollo USA. We're going to be linking off into a link decoder. Crypt or pass. Our disruptions are Call of the Grave, fingering whatever we want, and 1 monster negate off of the Apollo. Non-target banish anything with the Cryptor. Non-target banish the MTP. Banish up to 3 cards from your graveyard against Memento with the effect of White Binder. I'm definitely going to consider that as a form of disruption. We also have Drone Lockbird to further disallow you from adding from the deck, but make sure to activate that after the MTP, otherwise we turn off our own form of disruption. 6 disruption. Good luck. And we have no board breakers, no super poly with the Apollo and the Cryptor. We do play the Earth Golem, which could have scathed off some forms of disruption. I mean, the Cryptor would have just come back. It's actually not even that good, the super poly in this situation. We're gonna Sleepy, summon trigger to fuse their hand and field, going into the Twin Dragon. Apollo is going to negate. 5 more disruption, mate. To battle we go. Cryptor's gonna say, what the hell are you doing, mate? I'm gonna banish you off the field as we're now down to 4 disruption. Yeah, that's the correct play. Just hop into the next one. Let's do it. Begin. So, well, I guess a good question is, are you all gonna keep your Lancia in your main deck? That's really the big one. You're probably, many of you are gonna be undecided still on that. Ash negates the Goblin Mate. Call by the Grave, finger there, Ash. Not today. Negate. And with that fingered Ash, we have a fully undisrupted turn 1 play off of a normal summon Goblin. Let's speed this up. Goblin sent a Gaddock plus the fusion spell. Gaddock's going to trigger, Reborn to add back the fusion spell. Fuse it up. with the hand, field, or grave. We're going to use the Acheron and Gaddock plus the engrave to summon a Creation King. Send from the deck a Dark Blade Creation King and a combined creation. We're going to banish the Creation King to grab the field spell. Sleepy special summon, activate diffuse into a twin, which will pop itself to trigger the field spell, triggering itself. We're also going to be searching for 2 monsters. Yeah, there's like maybe 5 more minutes of them making plays into the inevitable defeat. So let's hop into game number 3. Gold Sark activating to banish the deck. We have Kaido with 0 hand traps, but we do have a board breaker. Let's Dormouse trigger, summon, banish from the deck. The Chessy Cat, summon, banish a White Rabbit, draw 2. Let's trigger the White Rabbit, set from the deck. Okay, Drosworm is definitely a form of disruption by banishing from their graveyard. We have Call of the Grave also, banishing from their graveyard. We have Imperm negate a monster, Imperm negate a monster, Apollosay negate 2 more monsters, Firewall Dragon returning up to 3 monsters from either field and graveyard back to the hand. We then have the MTP non-target banish. We have Cryptor non-target banish a card in the field. 9 disruption. Now, with the Firewall Dragon and Apollo being 3 forms of disruption, we can knock those off down to 6 disruption if we use a Super Poly, which will be able to fuse away with the Cybers plus a link into the Earth Golem. So from 9 to 6, let's see it. We're gonna have to chain Super Poly. This will only negate if it gets to resolve, which we're not going to allow it with the Super Poly. Yup. Let's get to it. Let's fuse it. So from 9 to 6, still 6 disruption. That's crazy. Force is here, Drosworm. So I do want to note the detail that it was not correct to open up with Super Poly, because if you Super Poly before activating the horse, then the horse can't even summon. You have to control no monsters or just Memento monsters to even summon this. So we met the activation requirement, and then we have a non-Maliss, but it still was just an activation requirement. Drosworm used up its form of disruption by banishing ourselves. We're going to activate the horse, Imperm, negate the horse, at least attempt to do so, as the Bone Party is going to chain pop the horse to dodge the impermanence. Could have further chained another Imperm, but we did not want to, as we pop the Horned Dragon to send up to 3 cards from the deck to the graveyard. Gaddock's going to trigger. Gaddock with the Drosworm banish would have been a really good banish. We're going to use the Call by the Grave instead to negate and banish the Gaddock. Down to triple disruption. We really are just back down to Cryptor non-target, Imperm. I don't think we counted yet the White Binder banish in the graveyard, so we're at 4 disruption actually. Little Knight on summon is going to be banishing a card on the field. Say goodbye to the Cryptor. Cryptor has already been banished this turn, so we now lose out on the Cryptor. GWC is attempting to potentially... No, we're in response to the normal summon of the Dark Blade. They're not even activating to pop it. We're going to reborn back the Cryptor. So Cryptor disruption is still back on the menu. We're going to non-target banish by returning back the Maliss and Mirror, as they can't fuse with the graveyard. They have to fuse with the field with the Sleepy. Uh-oh. Return back, banish the Dark Blade. Sleepy is going to be forcibly not fusing. We can't fuse. We're just going to link it off into the Anaconda. We're now going to march here, banish the Red Ransom here. Red Ransom, come forth, banish from the deck a White Rabbit. White Rabbit is going to come out, set an MTP from the deck as long as we still have one in the deck, which we do. And then we're going to non-target banish the Verte Anaconda. Add from the deck by banishing to make it activatable the turn it was set. Banish away the Verte Anaconda, as we still have the Imperm. Oh boy, that was a duel. And that was after Super Poly fusing away 3 other forms of disruption. That was crazy. Maliss, crushing Memento. Let's hop on another one. Corellia in the draw phase. We're going to at least normal summon the Dormouse, of course. We just got to be careful with the March Hare being summoned from the hand within this turn. So we're going to be banishing a White Rabbit instead. White Rabbit set from the deck, our GWC. We do have Ash to potentially negate. Lizard Dose is going to be banishing the Dormouse by cost, not effect. So don't ever try to negate the Lizard Dose. Reborning back the Dormouse with the Lizardos. We're going to be making a red ransom to search our deck as the Ash negates. Unless we cross out Designate, which, nope. I'm going to hold the cross out. We're playing the mirror match, so cross out literally just negates any main deck card we want. We could banish a Dormouse from our deck to negate their Dormouse. We are going to MTP, banish the red ransom, to resummon the red ransom, to then summon a Chessie Cat from the deck, essentially. Chessie is going to be banished the March Hare to draw 2 here, as we now add back the March Hare. The Metal Tronus will be usable against any extra deck monster to negate it and banish it face down. Splash Mage, it's up as we now go into the White Binder. White Binder is going to be resetting the MTP into our back row. As we now GWC, banish the White Binder to resummon the Red Ransom to gain 23. Resummon the White Binder to draw an additional card, further going into the Fireball Dragon. Let's, with 4 back row cards, go back to you. Baldrake banishing and having the effect to banish a monster from the extra deck, double disruption on 1 card. We do have the MTP to non-target banish a card in the field. We can negate a summon with the Impulse. We can finger a card in the grave with the Call by the Grave. We can negate any main deck monster with the Cross-Out Designate. It's not just monster, it's any card even. If we had a way to MTP, get it back in the grave, banish it, then return it back with Cryptor, we could then use the Cross-Out to negate the opposing player's MTP if you're an absolute mad lad. We then have the Firewall Dragon to return a monster from either field or graveyard back into the hand. About 7 forms of disruption we got to play through. Metal Tronus can deal with the Firewall Dragon, but we can wait for it to try to activate. What was I saying? Dormouse, banish with the Cross-Out Designate. Dormouse is now negated for this entire turn. Not fair. Metal Tronus is here. We're going to summon a Cryptor instead. So the requirement for this is going to be summon a monster that has 2 or more of the same type, attribute and or attack, but you negate the effects of the monster you summoned and it's not properly summoned. And if you do, you also negate the opposing player's monster. So we have a negated Cryptor versus a negated Firewall Dragon. Lingaribo is here into a GWC to banish away the Cryptor, which is... hopefully you're not trying to reborn that back. Maybe that works in the TCG, but not here. Let's further go into a Dark. Dark, steal your Red Ransom. March Hare says, ain't no way. Yes way, I'm gonna cross out Designate, negate your March Hare as you negated my Dormouse. Well, Baldrake has something to say about this. Baldrake is gonna be banishing the Red Ransom, so you do not steal it with the Dark. Negate the March Hare. All right. Let's now trigger our Red Ransom to summon on special summon, not link summon. Thus, we would have received the effect from Dark stealing it to search our deck. We're going to be also triggering the White Rabbits to come forth and set into the back row any other trap that we still have, if we have anything. We are playing TB11, ain't no way, as we're now going to turn Dark into a Typhon. We could use MTP to get rid of it or just use the Baldrake. Damn. Well, Metal Tronus obviously was not enough, and nor was the Parelia. But they do very well against Ryzeal. Let's go. Huh. Set Metal Tronus pass. Turned off our own Fool Loss over Metal Tronus. Okay. Metal Tronus works against, hey, I guess it's a pretty decent in the mirror match, right? Or you would think so. We are going to Impulse, negate. Whoa, that animation, I don't, was that the first time I saw that today or what? Set a TB11, which we now have the Fool Loss activatable. I think one of the main reasons for people to not want to play TB11 is it plays worse than a Fool Loss, or you could even say also bad against Max C. As you see here, summoning from the deck, forced into a draw where normally we have good plays against Fool Loss. Maliss in Underground, banish in the deck, a Dormouse, reborn back, banish from the deck, our Chessie Cat, but boost up the field to 5,400 damage, 7,500 damage on the field, draw 2, March Hare, add back to the hand here. We do have Magnum Hunt to stop lethal damage. We have Cryptor. Now, Cryptor alone is lethal damage. It's 31 plus 5,600. You attack, you then banish itself. It comes back for that 56. But again, there's a Magnum Hunt. And we could also Impulse. Impulse can negate the summon back effect of Cryptor. Or we're going to use Impulse to negate the March Hare instead. Negate the March Hare. I don't remember seeing the animation. Where have I been today? What the heck? That's crazy. Banish the Dormouse. Now, why do we do that? We need a material that is, it's ammo for the Cryptor so that it can return it back in the deck to banish itself or banish a card in the field. Banish away the White Rabbit. Magnum Hut's going to activate. And we do not have lethal damage. We have a lot of damage. 300 off from lethal. Do you know what 300 means? 300 is activating any of your Maliss cards to come back on the field, which means we now can't activate any of our Maliss cards to come back on the field. So what do? We can't even use Gold Sark. Gold Sark, we lose the duel. Drew a Swarm, banish the Cryptor here, as it has already been banished this turn. Nicely done. Okay, normal Dormouse, can't banish anything or we lose. Bro, they're at 300. Let them banish. If they banish, they lose. It's over. Minus 300 Keck W. They can't do it. What are we sarking? You want to add White Rabbit in 2 turns? Because that's what you're doing. Oh, we're going to GWC. Banish. Come back. Can't trigger the Dormouse. White Rabbit is going to set the MTP as we're going to summon a Druid Swarm. Druid Swarm can now trigger to attempt to send the Apollo to the graveyard, as it does. Bro. See that? That says your Apollo has no effect. You can't even activate it. We summoned Apollo under the restriction of Impulse because we activated it from the hand. Whoops. We're going to March Hare, banish from the grave here to dodge the effect of stealing the Chessie Cat, as Chessie is going to be activating to summon itself back onto the field. To battle we go, wipe away the opposing Chessie. Now we're going to go into a Typhon. Typhon, you don't want to return back the March Hare. Let's leave it on the field. We do have an Ash Blossom. MTP is not going to really be so good. We could not trigger any of our effects. What we really needed was we had to GWC reborn a Maliss Link. And by reborning the Maliss Link, you'd gain life equal to the attack of that special summon monster. If it was a red ransom, we would gain that much needed 2,300 life points. Outside of the GWC, how else can we gain life? I think that's the only way. We're going to Dormouse, come back. Dormouse banished from the deck, White Rabbit. As we White Rabbit set into the back row our own GWC. Further link this off into a Lizardos. Lizardos going to banish from Engrave the Chessie to target itself, boost. Chessie reborn back. Further go into the White Binder. White Binder on summon, activate to banish from either player's grave. We're going to banish your White Rabbit knowing you can't activate it. We're going to add back the March Hare here as we now White Binder set into the back row our MTP for the non-target banish of any card in the field. GWC, banish the White Binder to reborn back the Cryptor. We could use Ash to negate the effect of the White Binder trying to come back. Negate. Got you, mate. Nicely done. How do you dodge Ash on your Binder effect when banished? If they're really just holding on to Ash to try to get a big wham bam thinking man play on you, well, what you would do is you, on the summon of White Binder, you target a card in your graveyard that would trigger when banished. Then you would chain GWC to the effect of targeting your own card. Thus, the White Binder would chain with the card you banish with White Binder, put the Binder on the lower chain link, and you won't get negated by Ash. Let's further go. And he can't even activate the Cryptor because the Dormouse boosted it up to 3,100. Ash negate the MTP mate, which this wasn't going to do anything. We can't add March Hare, then banish a monster from the graveyard that would activate for 300 and we would lose. We can't do that. Goodbye to the Typhon. Lethal damage. Pirellia on the direct attack. And thank you, Hipster, for knocking out other Ryzeal players through main deck in Pirellia and Metaltronus. We are going to ice Ryzeal. In response to the ice, we're going to Fool Loss, so we definitely now don't want to use the Droll Lockbird. We also don't want to imperm the ice because we want to draw off the Fool Loss summon from the deck into a Star Ryzeal, set up into the back row. We're going to draw into Pirellia and just use it right away. Nikki Art X, what are we going to do versus being under the effect of Pirellia and Fool Loss? Almost from any angle, if we summon whatsoever, it's going to result in a draw. We don't care. We're still going to be summoning under the effect of Fool Loss. Unfortunately, Imperm's going to completely turn off the detonator. Now, beyond the detonator being turned off by Impermanence, I'm not going to even count it. We have the effect of Plasma Hole to pop a card on the field. And then we're also going to be able to Imperm negate, Veiler negate, and backed up by a Max C. Triple Disrupt. Let's start this off with Imperm onto the detonator. We're going to chain Max C to the Imperm as the Ash negates. Get ready for the X Ryzeal, and I've been talking about it today that there's a lot of discussions on when is the best time to use your disruptions against Ryzeal. Since the release of Star Ryzeal, it's been a lot more difficult to pinpoint the best choke point. Duo is no longer the definitive best point to use your cards because they'll very likely have the Ryzeal Cross to protect. But with a card like Imperm, not even the Ryzeal Cross will be protecting them from Imperm. We're going to X Ryzeal and use the Imperm right away. We're not waiting for them to build up a field, but this does have the possibility of not only having 3 Ice Ryzeal, 3 Sword Ryzeal, we could have a Bonfire, we could have a Tachyon, we could have a 7th Ascension, we may even have a Small World. There are an endless amount of different cards we could also have in our hand, but just in case you do have more than just the X Ryzeal, we do have Veiler as a backup. And it pays off. It works. Sometimes you just gotta get lucky. That's it. Roll the die. You roll high, you win. 7th Tachyon is going to be playing into the Drone Lockbird. Now, knowing that 7th Tachyon plays in the Droll, instead of searching for an X Ryzeal that summons then searches, how about I just grab an Ice Ryzeal, so if you Droll me, I can still use the Ice Ryzeal to summon from the deck. Now, we could have first activated Ryzeal Cross to then negate Droll, but and here's like the funny thing about Droll. When you try to negate Droll with a Call by the Grave or a Cross out, what you could do in that same window is activate another Droll. But if there's a Ryzeal Cross on the field, they don't negate until the Droll resolves, so we would have to preemptively back-to-back Droll just to ensure it goes through, and then you obviously don't use Cross to negate either. Now we get Cross in. We're going to normal summon the Ice Ryzeal, Imperm, negate the Ice. If we wanted to, we could have chained Detonator to pop our own Ice to dodge the negate, but we are under the effect of Droll, so what good is that even for if we can't even add from our deck? Now, what is good? We have the ability to pop 2 times, or at least one of those pops could be a negate. We can use the Plasma Hole to pop a face-up card, and also pop again because we're going to gain a material from the grave. That's 4 disruptions, with one of them being at least a monster negate. Tracked. Add Lurie, negate Lurie, effect in grave. Doesn't seem like a bad idea. Oh, well, we did negate. Nope. Okay, we're just going to pop it instead. Wipe it, as we didn't gain a material from engraved because we have to attach a Ryzeal card from engraved, which we had no Ryzeal cards engraved to even attach. So this would be assuming that we detached off the detonator already from another effect, and then the Plasma Hole would attach the newly detached back onto the detonator for another form of disruption. Pure Ryzeal taking game 1 against Fiendsmith. Ice Ryzeal, summon for the deck. You Fool lost me, I Fool lost you. Sounds fine. We're going to Ash Blossom negate. Well, I have the better card right here, Max C, on top of the Fool loss. Uh-oh. As we're now going to be summoning from the deck. I mean, we still want to commit to a detonator, right? We summon a star, possibly set the... Oh, we're going to the X Ryzeal instead. Sure, we're going to grab a sword. Okay, we're just setting Imperm passing. Okay, not going into a star, set field spell, going to a detonator, which would at least be 4 forms of disruption, but is it really that many forms of disruption if they have a single impermanence to negate the detonator and you're giving them that additional draw to potentially out the detonator with? The Parelia is dead, unfortunately. We have Imperm, Ash, that is it. Let's go. And Nikki's hand sucked until we drew into the Sword Ryzeal. This is still not ideal. You'd much rather have an Ice or an X Ryzeal or a way to search for any of those cards. Normal, the star, special, the sword, Imperm, negate. Cross out, designate, negate the impermanence. If any of you have taken Imperm out because it's maybe not that great against Maliss and you put in Lancia instead, you got to put Imperm back in your deck. X Ryzeal to our hand as we now make a duo drive. We do have the negate for Ashe. Duo drive, attempt to search our deck for 2 cards. Call by the grave, finger their Ashe, negate. We should probably just scoop here. We are super screwed. Now, what I'm interested to see is, can Nikki Art put up lethal damage? We're going to be grabbing a Cross plus an Ice Ryzeal. We have already committed to a normal summon. We're going to special summon the X Ryzeal, send an aggregator to search for a node. We're going to send the duo drive to summon the Ice to make our Ryzeal detonator. Detonator on summon is going to attach the aggregator from Engrave. We have the Cross, which is going to be drawing a card by returning 2 Ryzeal cards back to the deck. Let's special summon the node, send the sword from in hand to Reborn from Engrave, further exceeding into the Granite. What are you searching for, a Nibiru? Add a rock. Yeah, that's the rock. We got a rock in our hand now. Okay. That's a play. As, boy, is that a good one or what? Should I be playing that? We have 3 pops plus a negate with the aggregator. Potentially within those 3 pops, we could also negate a monster effect instead. We can, in addition to that, Nibiru tribute off the field. That's 5 forms of disruption to play through with a Sword Ryzeal that can be special summoned. We don't have to normal this. Well, we're under max C now, and we know they have a Nibiru. Let's Sword activate, Sword get popped, as we're now down to 4 forms of disruption we're up against. Sword must search our deck for nothing as we scoop. Damn. Are you ready? We are going second with Maliss against Ryzeal. What we have against Ryzeal is Maxi, which cannot be stopped. We have a Baldrake, which could banish a Lighter Dark from the graveyard. A lot of them are fire monsters, but otherwise you will, in many cases, have a good target to banish with Baldrake. Potentially, they will play into a Nibiru, and those are our 3 hand traps against them. Now, of course, the Maxi is going to be putting them in check. They're not going to do much beyond the normal summon Sword Ryzeal, which is the worst opener for Ryzeal. Ideally, they have a way to search for the X Ryzeal or the Ice Ryzeal, or just open up the X or Sword Ryzeal. Begin. Normal Sword. Chain the Maxi. This already gives Mitchell a lot of information. They have no way to search for an X Ryzeal. They didn't open up X or the Ice Ryzeal. Triple Tactics Talent's going to look at your hand and go, wow, this hand sucks. Let's return that TB11 back. End our turn. Full loss is dead. We are just on Nibiru. Set, called by, and pass. We know at least 3 cards. And we can be confident that that is a called by since we looked at their hand. X Ryzeal is going to send the duo drive, as we're now going to special summon the sword into grabbing an ice from the deck, using up our normal summon to special summon. We know they have Nibiru, so we know on the 4th summon to set up a way to negate Nibiru for our 5th summon. It's not going to happen. You will not Nibiru me. Activate, Xyz Mate into the detonator. By summoning Detonator before the duo drive, it also further gives you protection from a card like Ogre for anyone that's possibly on that. Yeah, damn. We had a TB11 and nothing else, and it was also returned back in the deck. Gold, Sark, banish from the deck the Dormouse. What do? We have Nibiru tribute the field, banish from Engrave in response to, let's say, a node possibly. Then we can also banish a monster from the extra deck. We could also use an Ashe negate an interaction with the deck. We could Imperm negate a monster. We could Impulse negate a special summon effect. We can Apollo negate a monster effect twice. We could Crypt or non-target banish a card in the field. We could use the effect of the MPT to non-target banish another card on the field. I'm not going to count the Binder effect of banishing as a form of disruption, but if it ends up coming up, then I will call it out. So 10 pretty good disruptions against a triple tactics talent. Ice Ryzeal is going to be our best opening play after using Imperm, of course. Imperm, negate 2 disruptions. We're now down to 8. Ice Ryzeal on summon, Imperm, negate the ice. Still can't use triple tactics talent. We need a monster effect to be activated. Special, the sword. Now, think about this. They have an Ice Ryzeal on the field, and the sword Ryzeal requires you to have a Ryzeal on your field or graveyard, so it could have possibly been an okay play to preemptively banish their card just to scathe off a follow-up sword Ryzeal. Exciton Knight, mate, you what? No way! GWC is gonna banish, summon, I should say, onto the field. Holy moly, we're gonna lose our impulse. White Binder's not gonna even trigger because we did gain some life points though, so there was a purpose to that. Wow, well, we would have completely lost this duel if we didn't have another way through, let's say, the March Hare or Baldrake to further banish a card like the White Binder, which will then come back and then banish Cryptor, banish a play to go into the White Rabbit. We're still okay. So let's recount up the disruptions we have. We still have the double disruption at Baldrake. We have the Ash. We have the Cryptor. We have the MTP. We're still at 5. I count up Nibiru and Nibiru, right? So we're at 6 even. Did that count Nibiru? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6. X Ryzeal is going to get hit by the Nibiru. Tribute off the field of Exciton Knight, Node, and X Ryzeal. We are going to use the triple tactics talent to attempt to draw 2. Ash Blossom, negate. We're still in an incredible spot here. Mitchell has nothing to worry about as we're going to, in the end phase, banish. It wasn't even close. The Exciton Knight didn't really do much. Starting off with a normal summon Node Ryzeal is crazy. So again, it gives us a lot of information. They don't have an X Ryzeal, they don't have an Ice, they don't have a way to get into any of those cards, which are much better openers than normal summoning your Node. With the special summon sword, we're going to be searching for the X Ryzeal, and then we're going to be dumping from the extra deck a Duo Drive and search for another sword. Duo Drive is going to unsummon, attach the Duo Engrave, and let's now detach to search our deck for 2 cards. We have our Ryzeal Cross plus our Star Ryzeal. To activate the Cross, and now we have protection from a monster effect as the Node sends sword to reborn from engrave another sword to further turn 2 bodies into a Ryzeal detonator on summon, attach a monster engrave, which will be the Duo Xyz. Let's detach off of the Duo to special summon the Star Ryzeal to put into the back row a Plasma Hole. Let's now Ryzeal Cross, return 2 Ryzeal cards to draw a card. Pot of Desires, banish 10 cards off the top of the deck to draw 2. Hello, plugin. Now, what did we accomplish here? We have the ability to destroy 3 cards in the field with the Ryzeal Detonator in response to a card activating. We could then destroy an additional card by attaching with plugin, destroy an additional card by attaching with Plasma Hole. We could also destroy up to 2 cards with the Plasma Hole. We could imperm negate a monster. We could Ash negate an interaction of the deck. Only 8 disruptions, and instead of popping, we could use the Ryzeal Cross to negate a monster effect. It's not an additional negate because the Duo has no materials on it. 8 disrupt versus 6 cards in the hand. Let's go. Chessie, Ash, negate the effect to draw 2. It's not a cost to banish, thus no trigger effect of White Rabbit for you. He's not even trying. Really? Just activate your cards. I know you know and everyone knows you lose, but just, I don't know, lose with grace. 2-1 victory. Ryzeal Pure knocking out a Maliss player here. Let's check out the other half of the top 4. The winner of this match will face off against Ryzeal in the grand finale. Pure Ryzeal is waiting for you. Let's go. Start this off with a normal summon. White Rabbit set from the deck, a GWC, which is not activatable unless we have a card engrave or banish. That is a Maliss. We're now going to March Hare, banish from engrave. Nothing as the Impulse negates the March Hare. The GWC is not a follow-up here, but the Underground is. Underground, banish from the deck, a Dormouse. We still have the effect of Ash Blossom potentially as we banish from the deck our Chessie Cat. Chessie Cat Reborn, attempt to draw 2. Victinium says, hell nah, I'm out of here. Dormouse is going to banish from the deck here. March Hare, we're passing on using Imperm. We have Nibiru plus Imperm, so you can combo up the Imperm with Nibiru to negate the Apollo USA and then Nibiru wipe them out. So with that in mind, let's figure out when is the best moment to whip out the Nibiru. It's likely gonna be a position where you feel like you're denying them from summoning a White Binder. Let's grab the Maliss and Underground. We have the Apollo, but again, we are ready with the double Wombo combo. Maliss and Underground, banish from the deck the Mouse and Mirror, which will banish the Red Ransom to grab the White Rabbits. So we're coming across a decision here. The decision is here. Do we really want them to draw 2 at Chessie, or do we feel that this is good enough to wipe the fields? Well, we don't want them to draw 2. We don't want them to summon the White Rabbit after being banished. This is exactly when we're going in. Apollo, negate. Imperm, negate. Wipe the fields. We already triggered the Red Ransom. We already triggered the Chessie. We already activated March Hare, which would banish the White Rabbit here. This is where I guess you're thinking, do they have a Gold Sark, right? Gold Sark would be a follow-up. All their engrave monsters would not be triggerable if we had a Bestial for the follow-up. So this is a pretty safe Nibiru. If they didn't have the 1 of 2 Gold Sarks, that is. Let's now Allure of Darkness, draw 2, banish away the Chessie. We have a Call by the Grave and Call by the Grave. That's it. So, you know, I want you all to understand this lesson. It's not about what's the best time to Imperm, what's the best time to Nibiru. If you combo up your hand traps, especially Nibiru being an outlier, Nibiru plus Imperm, it's like multiplicative of how much better Nibiru and Imperm become when used together. The definitive answer to the big question of Ryzeal or Maliss, which deck is better? We are in the grand finale with 2 Titans here representing both decks. It is pure Ryzeal versus pure Maliss. Hajime. Start this off with a Bonfire, search our deck. Ash is going to negate the Bonfire. The thought process could be, why would they play into a Droll and Lockbird if they already had a Ryzeal in hand, right? You have an X Ryzeal and a Bonfire, you activate Bonfire, search, and then you get hit by Droll. You're a fool. So with that mindset, okay, they maybe at worst already have an Ice Ryzeal, so this could be okay to Ash in the hopes that they don't have an Ice. Droll, I think, is a lot more prevalent and should be expected, and you should be trying to play around it. 7th Tachyon is going to be the follow-up, grabbing the X Ryzeal. Return back the Potted D, as we now summon the X Ryzeal, dumping an Aggregator. This is what you dump instead of the twins. Since we don't have twins, we search for the sword, special summon the sword. We haven't normal summoned yet. We search for the ice, normal summon the ice. Summon from the deck the Ice Ryzeal, and we are at 4 summons to ensure we play correctly around a Nibiru as we flip up the Ryzeal Cross, and on the 5th summon, we have a Ryzeal Detonator. Ryzeal Detonator, on summon, activate to equip the Aggregator. This is pretty much exactly what my play is from the guide on what to do. Except instead of sending twins, you send Aggregator. We're gonna Duo Drive, activate, detach, searching for a Node Ryzeal and a Plasma Hole instead of Plugin. That's quite interesting. We're gonna send the Fool Lost in the Hand to Reborn from Engrave to go into the Granite. Granite searching our deck for a Nibiru against Maliss. This is crazy. We're gonna Ryzeal Cross, return 2 cards Engrave to draw a card. Now, what are our forms of disruption? We have the ability to negate a monster with Imperm. We can pop up to 2 face-up cards of the Plasma Hole and give us an additional pop with the Ryzeal Detonator. We can use the Ash to negate an interaction with the deck. We can Nibiru tribute off the field after 5 summons, which we can use Impulse to negate. We have 3 pops with the Detonator, pop, pop, pop. And any of the pops could instead be a monster negate with the Ryzeal Cross, which could not be chain link blocked. 8 disruption. Good luck. All right, let's do this. Detach the Detonator. As we're going to Maliss and Mirror, negate the Detonator mate. Detonator is going to be further detaching to pop the White Rabbit again. Sure, why not? And since we don't have plug-in, it's now a negated detonator on the field. That's unfortunate. And since we lost a pop off of the other card, we still have a negate with the Ryzeal cross. Okay, so we're about 5 disruptions here. Triple tactics talent. We're gonna send the aggregator to the graveyard to pop the GWC on the field, but we are negated. And the aggregator would now resolve on the resolution of this to negate if there was another card to even negate. We're gonna plasma hole, take out the detonator here, and we're gonna attach on to the drive. So if we update our disruptions, we have a negate a monster effect, negate a monster, negate an interaction with the deck, and still Nibiru the field, still with 4 forms of disruption. March Hare, which we can negate. Yep, negated, no banish, no trigger of the White Rabbit, which had not been triggered yet. GWC requires a Maliss monster in the field to even be activatable. Oh my Jesus, Granite searching for a second Nibiru, what the hell? Let's return 2 Ryzeal cards in graveyard back in the deck to draw into a pot of D, banish 10 cards off the top of the deck, draw 2. Pure Ryzeal's clapping. Pure Ryzeal is clapping this up. 7,700 damage on the field is what we need. Summoning our second copy of a Ryzeal detonator, limited to 1 in the TCG. Attach the aggregator from engrave. Normal summon the ice, summon from the deck. 10,000 damage exactly. Taking this into game number 2. Granite for game. Granite is supposed to be Abyss Dweller, but Abyss Dweller got banned before the release of Ryzeal. Begin. Allure of Darkness. Let's banish away the Dormouse. We do have Ghost Ogre, Imperm, and Nibiru. When is the best moment to use Ogre? I think Ogre is great against Apollo. Just turn off the Apollo. Apollo tries to negate Nibiru, you chain Ogre, or you also have the Imperm Nibiru play as we saw earlier. And Nibiru plus Imperm, it definitely cooks. We saw Nikki use that against another mouse player, and we're about to see it again. Will Zeus have enough to play through it? Impulse will not be usable against Nibiru since there's no card in the field to use the Impulse against. Now, let's Apollo into the Maliss in Underground, banish the Maliss in Mirror. It's coming up. This is the moment. Are you ready? As soon as Chessie Cat hits the field with the Red Ransom, Nicky Boy is going to potentially try... did we already Chessie? What the heck? Okay, so this is a little bit different. Chessie already drew. I wasn't paying attention as much here. So now the timing of Nibiru is going to be a bit off. We couldn't deny the draw 2. March Hare banish here. We're going to go into a Splash Mage. If it weren't for the Apollo, then Ogre against Splash Mage is actually great. Splash Mage, Reborn back, now. So I said earlier, one of the best ways to use Nibiru is to deny the summon of Binder. You don't want them to get Binder in circulation. So right before you know they're gonna go into the Binder, or before the Chessie Cat trying to draw 2 to set up for a Binder, this is when we're gonna wipe away their field. And now, what do? Do we chain Ogre or Imperm? Ogre stops the Apollo, but if they have a Call by the Grave, they could finger the Ogre, and then you could chain Imperm. What if they have cross out Designate for the Imperm? You Imperm, they cross out Designate, you can't chain the Ogre. So Ogre would be safer to ensure that the Nibiru goes through. We're gonna Imperm, but you could also argue that cross out would have been used against Nibiru. And we're going to instead save Ogre for a different use. Is this the better way? I'm really gonna be focusing on the Ogre being used on another effect here. Wipe the field. Now, do we have any Maliss monsters that have not been triggered yet in the graveyard? Otherwise, we could have further followed up with the Druisworn Banish. We still have Disruption because the MTP is already here. We could, on the lower chain link, whenever we want, MTP, Chainlink Higher, GWC, get the Red Ransom on the field, non-target banish any card on the field, whatever it may be. Nibiru could screw you up. One of the best openers for Ryzeal is an X Ryzeal. So let's read the X Ryzeal. The X Ryzeal states that you can only search your deck if you control no other face-up monsters except level/rank 4 monsters. If we summon X Ryzeal, it may be a big mistake before getting rid of our own Nibiru. A good way to get rid of Nibiru is to node Ryzeal, send it to the graveyard first. Or if the token's big enough, you can put it into attack, then kill your own Nibiru before you summon the X Ryzeal. Uh-oh. Nope, we didn't search for Ryzeal, we searched for ice. So Nikki Art understands that it is better to go for the ice instead of the Ryzeal. We do not have a trap card in the graveyard, thus the ice remains on the field. We're going to special summon the sword, which does not have the clause of Ryzeal. It could still search the deck. GWC is going to preemptively summon our red ransom onto the field, as we're now ready with the MTP. MTP, search our deck for the white rabbit, non-target banish the ice, and as you can see here, the Ryzeal is not going to activate. Whether it's a mistake or not, I think we're pretty much now forced into making this play as we dump an aggregator to negate a face-up card in the field. No search, as we now go into the Duo Drive. Duo Drive activating to search for a node and a plasma hole. Node is going to be sending the ogre from our hand that we held on to reborn the sword. Ooh, what is this? Utopic Ray Lancer is here. Once per turn, you could Xyz summon over a rank 4 monster by discarding a spell or trap card, and your opponent loses 500 attack. At the start of the battle phase, you can negate the effects of all attack position monster your opponent controls. When attacking, if it destroys a monster by battle, you can detach a material to make a second attack in a row, which can be directly to the face. Reduce, wipe out the red ransom, wipe out the Nibiru token, and we are not threatening lethal damage. We have 4,400 damage. Call by the Grave is going to be fingering the red ransom on the banish of the Jerusalem, thus you could not block this attack. Close one. If we were to had threatened lethal damage, this was summoned off with a node, so it had to summon into defense. Oh, 3,400 damage. We're going to Xyz in the battle phase. We can't put up 3,400. There's no way. Detonator will be 3,000 though. And we're 100 off. We're 100 off from the special number, and that special number is 300. By dropping them down to 400, they could still trigger a Maliss banish effect because it costs 300 life. So now they could still pay the cost. Oh my, Imperm can't be used because we have the Maliss and Underground. We do have the effect to pop 3 cards and then negate with the aggregator. So it's 3 disruption, but kind of a 4th disruption. Swarm is a great way to tank the detonator. I talked about this in my video, and it's being used. Cerberus on summon can discard to pop, but instead we're just going to use the Swarm to send the detonator to the grave. So the 2 additional pops are now gone as detonator is sent, not destroyed. Otherwise, it could have been protected from being destroyed. We're going to replace the Maliss and Underground with another one, and Nicky Boy is wide open. No protection, nothing. Chessie with our 400 life left. We pay down to 100. We're going to triple tactics talent, take control of the Utopic Ray Lancer. So my question to all of you is, could we have not only inflicted lethal, but maybe get them within that 300 life point threshold to ensure that the Chessie could not have been banished and then summoned back on the field? We have to really possibly replay the previous turn, outside the tournament, that is. Maybe for YouTube, you could figure it out. Did we have lethal? Did we miss lethal, or could we have done 100 more damage? White Rabbit, come back. Dormouse, come back. Dormouse is going to be banishing from the deck. March Hare, add back. Let's speed this up. Inevitably, we're just going to win right now. This is it. Access the codes. Boost, banish from engrave, wipe away the Nibiru, 10,000 damage on the field. Very well done for Zeus. Game. Damn. We had called by for a Bestial. Now, you can't finger yourself, so if it could have been safer to Jerusalem banish in their graveyard if there were a light and dark graveyard in their graveyard, but the called by denying our Bestial and then having a plasma hole for an additional attack, and it still somehow was not enough for lethal damage. Well, wait, what happened? Okay, yes, Zeus won the second game. I had the mindset that we won the other game somehow, but we did not. So after losing, we are going first. Ice versus an Imperm and a Max C. We're going to chain Max C to the Ice Ryzeal summoning from the deck. Call by the Grave, finger the Max C. Now we could toss an Imperm on top of it if we want to. We're holding. We're not going to Imperm negate the Ice Ryzeal, which we know that the cross-out designate could just negate if we want to. So we're going to hold the Imperm likely for the Duo Drive instead. Summoning the sword, searching for the X Ryzeal. Do understand that in the TCG, a TCG player saying, oh my gosh, you have to imperm the Ice Ryzeal. They have all of their cards semi-limited, so they're much less likely to have a follow-up sword already in the hand. We're gonna special summon the X Ryzeal, searching for the node. We're just gonna imperm, I guess, the detonator. Let's reborn with the node, the sword. We're gonna go into a Banshee. Banshee is going to be detaching, searching the deck for a Star Ryzeal. Detach off the Banshee to set from the deck a plugin which will give us resilience against the imperm saved for the detonator. Now detonator could pop itself and the plugin could just reborn it back. We have aggregator. We're gonna Ryzeal cross. Return 2 Ryzeal cards to draw a card. Let's set and pass. What are our disruptions here? We have 3 pops with an aggregator potentially negating for a 4th disruption. It's likely not going to be a disruption, but we'll just count it because it's the ceiling. We then have an additional pop of the plugin, another pop of the plasma hole, and any of those pops could be a monster negate with the cross. We also could pop up to 2 face-up cards with the plasma hole itself, and we could also Ash Blossom negate an interaction with the deck. That's 8 disruptions. Imperm onto the detonator, which we saved it for that detonator, but we're gonna pop ourselves. The idea is that only Eclipse Twins protects you from Imperm. That's not true. This is why you have Plugin. Plugin is not gonna even wait. We're going to immediately attempt to reborn, but we have Magnum Hut. Magnum Hut is going to be able to banish away the detonator. So comboed up with the Bestial and the effective impermanence, this was perfect. So this is where you'd be scrambling to think, can I, on the higher chain link, give a material onto the Duo Drive? You would have to use the Plasma Hole. If Plasma Hole could pop our own card, that is, which it cannot. Only face-up cards your opponent controls. Otherwise, we don't gain that material to use the cross to negate the Magnum Hut, and we lose the detonator for good, meaning we probably lose this duel now. Uh-oh. Magnum Hut is going to activate. Allure of Darkness, Ash, negate. We still have Plasma Hole pop and negate with cross. So we have double disruption. It's not completely over. White Rabbit. We could negate the White Rabbit and pop it. But do we? Also negate it. We pop it. We have a negate now. We don't negate because the MTP needs a Maliss monster to banish. The Duo Drive is now bigger than the Magnum Hut. And we end our turn. Jerusalem MTP. Oh my Jesus. MTP is not a disruption. We're going to be returning 2 Ryzeal cards and graveyard back in the deck to draw a card. We're going to be special summoning the Sword Ryzeal, searching for the Ice. Normal summon the Ice on summon for the deck and X Ryzeal, which is going to be searching for a Node Ryzeal. Let's seize this up into our second copy of Detonator, limited to 1 in the TCG on summon attachment grave, the aggregator. Pot of D, draw 2 cards after banishing 10 off the top of the deck. Is this it? Special summon the Node. Node, say goodbye to the bonfire. Reborn back the Star Ryzeal. We are fully going into the Dugaris. This is the way, this is the play. We're going to be detaching 2. Attempt 2, Bob Boost, and successfully doing so, 6,200. We're gonna MTP, negate the Ash Blossom. This is it. We have over 11,000 damage on the field. 3,800 damage. 2,600 to the face, 1,300. Ryzeal Node for game. Damn. Meta Weekly, freaking Maliss at the top, it looks like. What the heck? Whoa, Ryzeal, 5 Ryzeal, 5 Maliss. Even down the middle, that is crazy. We are in a 50% split meta. Ain't no way. So we're gonna check out the Ryzeal decks last. Let's start off with the branded. Ricky, anything crazy to do well against Maliss or Ryzeal? Looks like we just are on standard branded, nothing out of the ordinary. We have Super Poly for the Earth Golem though, sure. And then we have Memento. Kaito with Memento, 40 card, Super Poly with the Earth Golem to help against Maliss a bit. And then we have Voiceless Voice. You know, that's the thing though, Voiceless, were both of them on Ryzeal? Because that means that there's more Ryzeal than Maliss. So I do think we have to maybe, I'm gonna make this into a separate deck type. What do you think? This should not be under Voiceless. Should we call voiceless, voice Ryzeal? You all tell me what you think we should do. Separate deck type, put it under Ryzeal, keep under voiceless. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Here is the deck breakdown. Good job, Rentos. Looking good. We got the Ryzeal, and then another Ryzeal voiceless voice build. That is crazy. So there was more Ryzeal than Maliss in today's event. Definitely. It should be under Ryzeal, you think so? Blue Eyes, Honcho. Nothing too crazy here. And then we have Super Saitama. Well, Dragon Master Magia is quite crazy. Good job to you, Super Saitama. And then the Maliss Mad Lads. Zeus, we'll just go to the bottom. We have Hipster or Hakimo. 40 cards. We are on the Terahertz. We have Dimension Shifter. And I have to also look at the overall Lancias that are being played now. Triple Metatronus, triple Pirellia, Hipster. You are out of your damn mind. Summoning Detonator to banish Detonator face down. Crazy. And then we have Fictinium on D-Shifter. We got double Ghost Spell up in here. Okay. And then Mitchell. Mitchell on Standard, it looks like. Where the heck are the Lancias? Lancias are just already out of the meta. Zeus, second place of the event, double Triple Tactics Talent. I think Triple Tactics Talent was an MVP in today's event. I do remember it doing very well whenever it was going in, or a lot of people were using it. And now the Ryzeal builds. Let's go to the top decks page for this. Tournaments, Meta Weekly, Ryzeal. Ryzealing it up. We have one on Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith Ryzeal. Now, technically, we do also have the voiceless on Ryzeal. So, as beyond the voiceless Ryzeal decks, we have Gargolo. Let me switch up my camera for this. Gargolo is on Triple Eclipse. Eclipsing it up. Eclipse is definitely interesting. You definitely want to be playing Imperm, even more so for the mirror match when they're going to Baguska you. And then we have Kid Art. Kid Art with the Asophiel in the extra deck. Triple Imperm, got the Pot of D. Looking good. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, really. We have Triple Tactics Talent in the main deck. And then we have Neo Hawkeye. Neo Hawkeye on triple Solemn Strike, triple Eclipse, triple Book of Moon. This is crazy. I could not believe how much Book and Solemn Strike is in this build. We're on double Aggregator. Nicely done. Good job. And then we have Kawaki. Kawaki is on the Fiendsmith build. Fiendsmith. We have Chaos Angel, of course, a good part of the Fiendsmith. And we got the Paradise main decked, sure. And then first place, Nicky Boy. The best build for Ryzeal for sure, right? They're all on Plasma Hole, right? Plasma Hole. Not on Plasma Hole. Wow. And the Fiendsmith version not being on Plasma Hole makes sense. That's fine. And then Nicky Boy on Plasma Hole. We have Plugin, of course. Double Nibiru, double Ghost Ogre. Looking clean. How much 7th Ascension? So we have Tachyon, no Ascension. No Tachyon because it's Fiendsmith. We have Tachyon, no Ascension. Tachyon, no Ascension. And Tachyon, no... Oh, 3 Ascension. 3 Ascension, 3 Tachyon. So for anyone wondering, do you have to craft Ascension? Well, let's look at the Ryzeal breakdown. The obvious answer is no. You do not. 20% using Ascension. You can see this, right? My screen's not blocking this. Yep. Just the Fiendsmith variant is not on this. Okay. Very nicely done. So just within one event, that would put the deck at least at tier 3. Okay.